good morning. It's a great Saturday morning, and welcome to this week's episode of the Real Estate Circuit. My name is Nonso Ume-Ezeoke, and in the studio with me this morning is my co-host, John Moronfolu.
Good morning, Nonso. How are you today?
I'm fine, and you?
Very good.
Good. Today, within the next 30 minutes, we'll be discussing a very important and interesting topic: home ownership and real estate property ownership by women. Why are women not buying and owning real estate? What are the causes? What are the issues? What factors are militating against the women? And how can the women be helped to address this issue? Sit right back, don't go away, and we'll be right back after this short break. See you soon.
You can now watch R2TV online at royalrootstv.com and on your smartphones by downloading the R2TV app for Android, BlackBerry, apps for iOS devices, and Windows Mobile from the respective app stores. R2TV, entertainment at its best, entertainment everywhere.
Hello and welcome to this edition of Taste Buds. My name is Chef Renee Chooks and this is a fantastic show I got for you today. Okay, today we're going to be making pan-seared crispy chicken thighs with ripe tomatoes and basil. Sounds like a lot of fun, yes? It's a very fantastic dish. Not a lot goes into it, as you can see, but a lot comes out of it. I mean, a whole lot comes out of it. Nobody's going to believe that you actually put everything on the table together and made that fantastic dish. We'll get into it. Don't go nowhere.
Back to the show. You're still on the real estate circuit. In the studio with us today this morning is an amazing woman. Voted one of the 100 most influential women in Nigeria. She is also a Harvard alum, a Stanford Fellow, the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of the Thistle Praxis Consulting Limited, a sustainability expert, and the former Executive Secretary of Women in Management and Business, an acclaimed author. In the studio with us today is Inyabasi Laura Onuk. Welcome, Ini.
Thank you. Thank you, Nonso. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, and congratulations on your nomination as one of Nigeria's most influential women. John,
Thank you.
what do you think?
I'm wondering how much money that has coming with it, but it was a good one. Thank you.
No, but it's well-deserved.
Thank you.
Well-deserved.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Today, we are talking about home ownership and real estate by women. Very poor, very low figures. Statistics show that women in Nigeria own about 1% of properties. Now, in our census, the Nigerian census, women also form about 50% or thereabout of our census. Home ownership and access to housing forms a core part of every nation's GDP. And here we are, 50% of our population women just owning 1% of the homes in Nigeria. What are the reasons? What is happening?
I like the fact that, I mean, it's critically within Nigeria, because if you look at the numbers outside of Nigeria, the numbers are increasing steadily. So if you look at Kenya, for example, you see more and more women buying into property, albeit single women. So that's also another caveat, that there are quite a number of issues, if you take the Nigerian market, for example, that will be militating against women owning property. And I think the issues are they're very clear. Issues of finance. So a lot of women don't have the same earning power as it were, knowing fully well that women don't start up at the same time in terms of work as men will do. I am very critical about the fact that culture also plays a huge role in that regard. Tradition. Yes, our mothers in those days used to own, lands. So they used to have farmlands that they owned and they farmed on. But more and more, you've seen that as we grew, quite a number of things has also taken our attention away. And so women, again, a lot of women will rather not. So you find maybe in Nigeria, very few single women will go into real estate or have own properties of their own, because it's likely no man will want to marry you if you own your own house. You know what I mean? So the question will be, you own your house. If I marry you, where will we live? Will we live in your house? Or we'll have to pack to my own house? So, and these are realities of issues. So you find women in their late 30s or early 40s who are not married for any reason, not even thinking about owning property, because it is something that will hinder them from getting the man, if you will. So that's very cultural. That's very also the fact that we live in a very patriarchal society. So it's about the man. It's about the man owning the properties, and you, more often than not, as a woman, you are one of the properties to be acquired. So I think there are quite a number of issues. Another issue will be really maybe credit lines. A lot of women are credit averse and as well risk averse, because going into real estate in a country like Nigeria, where the real estate market it's not for small children, particularly if you want to...
Quite expensive.
Yes, if you want to own property in very good areas, it's not for kids. So if you're looking at taking a mortgage at, say, 20%, which is not today, I'm not talking of today. If you're talking about today, you're looking at 27, 28%. You begin to worry about what your income is, how you're going to be able to pay that kind of mortgage off, and so many other issues like that. I think that critically, those are the issues that will, to an extent, make that 1% a reality, because truly women will not want to take the risk of having to owe the bank so much money, and at the end of the day, they are unable to pay. So, and then women are much more careful in investments, if you know what I mean. And I think that's also the risk averseness. They're very careful in investments. And there's also the societal part of it where, and I wouldn't say all women, because we have a small number, maybe the 1% you're talking about, that understand that there are certain things that are much more important than having jewelry. So there's also this idea of, how you look when you come out. Very few people will want to come to your home to see that you're living in a nice place in Banana. You know what I mean? But every time you step out, people want to see you, with the jewelry, well-dressed, expensive clothes, and the fashion industry has bloomed in Nigeria. So we're more into that, without any disrespect to women, but I think that more and more women organizations need to begin to create far more awareness.
So pretty much the need for women, women dispose quite a certain percentage of their income, earnings in physical appearances, retail therapy, and emotional spending.
I think there's a lot of emotional spending. There's a lot of emotional spending. There's a lot of social demand to be seen, you're making it. So the kind of car you drive, for example. So you have women pressuring their husbands to buy them a Range Rover Evoque more than buying them a property in their names. And this is reality, because I've worked with women. So that's why I'm saying that it's a very small percentage of women that understand that investments in real estate, for example, understand that investments in capital projects, for example, understand that investment in small, medium enterprises as an investor is much more than driving a car out of a car shop that immediately depreciates in value.
Once you leave the showroom.
Once you leave the showroom. It immediately depreciates in value. So I'm having my 40th or 50th birthday, and I'm looking forward to my husband buying me a Range Rover Evoque, if you will. And you and I know how much that costs. If you have to put down that kind of amount of money down as an equity for real estate, a lot of women are not thinking in that light. So emotional buying, a lot of women would rather, on Instagram, there's a lot of markets going on Facebook, there's a lot of market going on. So I'd rather buy, jewelry, because I need to go out every day. I'd rather buy a nice handbag that goes for about 400,000 naira, which could be my monthly repayment for a home,
mortgage. Yes.
You know, so we're not thinking like that. And again, like I said, you also need to worry about the fact that a lot of women don't want to own properties, and the husband says, you want to be richer than me? You want to have more money than me? What's the point of you having to invest in so much property? So it takes a small percentage of men as well who understand that you know, it's a combined wealth, it's a combined income and a combined wealth thing for their wives to own properties, for their wives to go into real estate, for their wives to have investments even in the real estate sector.
Okay, as a role model for women and one of the distinguished leaders of women, how have you fared in the real estate industry?
I've been in the real estate sector, albeit for about 10 years, maybe a very small player, not the big real estate investments and all of that, but of course owning properties here and there, understanding how the property market works at my own level. And I think I've also scaled up in the past 1 year. I just moved into my own home.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I just moved into my own home. And owning property, again, like I said, you also need to understand that, particularly for women that are married, the support of their partners, the support of their husbands is very critical. Very, very critical to understanding that, look, this is about us, not her.
Yeah.
I don't know if you understand what I mean. And that is very critical. And that's where also the thinking of men, Nigerian men, African men, also needs to change. So playing in that sector has been small, but I think that, I mean, I've also been able to increase my risk appetite to be able to jump into saying, okay, taking a mortgage loan from a bank, calculating what that will cost me. What it does, and I say this to a lot of women, what if you start building, if you buy a land today and you start building, you cannot, except you are truly demonized. You cannot be thinking about buying this cup today, buying that thing tomorrow, buying this jewelry. No, your whole focus will be in developing that property that you've
finishing
done.
it up.
And finishing it up. And so for me, it's a fantastic way of focusing.
Okay.
And focusing your finances, if you will.
Okay.
You know, so I think that more and more women need, but again, awareness is critical.
Okay. I think we have some viewers out there that will want to call in to ask you a few questions.
Sure.
The numbers to call us on is 080-91222, which is 4283, 080-91222, 4284, 080-91222, 85. And you can also tweet us at R2TV with the hash key Real Estate Circuit, or on Facebook www.facebook.com/myR2TV.
Fantastic. Ini, let me ask you a question. Besides the cultural restrictions, religious beliefs, emotional spending, I feel that a huge percentage of women needs financial planning, they need information. Some of them don't even know that those things exist.
Sure.
Some of them think that properties are so expensive, just like some people invested in the stock market, starting with the penny stocks. There are budget properties that they could have started with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes, I want to give it to the women here that sometimes they don't even know. What do you think?
I think that awareness, and that's, I think here, awareness is so critical. And awareness, I don't mean as saying, okay, there are properties in Mowe, for example, that you can go and buy. There are a class of women who will not be interested in buying property in Mowe. I think the awareness more is on saying that for every 20,000 naira you spend, this is what you can save. And this is what it comes to. And this is what it can do. I don't know if you understand. So if you are the type that, and I'll give you an example. For almost 5 years, I stopped buying Ashwebi. It doesn't matter who the person is. I don't buy Ashwebi because I kind of put down that expense to say, for every 45 to 60,000 naira that I spend, if I put that down, say in 3 months, let's say 60,000 naira, that gives me 180,000 naira. 180,000 naira in a year or in 4 quarters it's a bulk amount of money that can pay a mortgage.
Almost 600,000.
Yes. Now, let's take, for example, your building. 180,000 naira for cement already gets you a lot of cement. 180,000 naira, even 60,000 naira for blocks gets you a lot of blocks. So I think it's being able to break it down to the simplest, almost ABC of real estate investing. I have a taxi driver that used to carry me around. That was 2-3 years ago, Mr. Ola, and I'm sure that, you know, these are credible things that you can. And he, you know, one day we got talking and he said, oh, that he has a land, but he doesn't have money to start building. And I said to you, you will never have money to start building if you are waiting to have bulk money. I said, every 5,000 naira you have, buy cement. Get a nice, build a small place with that cement you're buying so that you can put things on that land at the back. And he said, I said, so within 2 weeks, he had bought 10 bags of cement. And I said, okay, fine. Now we have cement. We're going to use those same 5,000 naira because he's just a taxi driver. Those same 5,000 naira you're able to save from having, you know, after taking care of your family, after doing this, buy blocks, begin to pile blocks on that land. Now, within a year, Mr. Ola has built 3-bedroom flats, moved his family into it. A year. Because once he started buying the blocks, he saw a vision. He saw that this was possible with 5,000. And he said, everybody he said, this woman, 5,000 I will never forget. Is it possible that I own a house today? Because with 5,000, of course, you don't, like I said, so it depends on where you are. A lot of women still have this idea that, you know, I have to have this mansion to own real estate.
You know, I quite agree with you, John. I have a scenario similar to that. I have a girlfriend of mine who works in a company and whose salary, monthly salary is less than 250,000. And I said to her, what about when let's start investing in real estate? And she said to me, no, so how much is my salary now? And I said, well, whatever it is, let's start. You know, with all pride, the first real estate investment we did was a plot of land in Mowe. That was done then by Diamond Mortgages, the Diamond Sim Estate in Ofada, in Mowe. And it was for 475,000, and you get to pay like 35,000 naira monthly. When we started, some people said to us, are you going to ever live in Mowe? And we said, no, it's not a matter of ever moving to go and live in Mowe. But let's even start to teach ourselves financial planning, investment, financial discipline, and we stuck to it. At the end of the day, when we finished the 475,000 naira, we now went there thinking that, okay, we finished paying, so where is the land? And they said, oh, you need to pay for title documentation. Because the more you do this, the more you learn. The more you become more investment savvy. And I said to her, yes, but of course they have to give us title deeds. And that was another 125,000 or 150,000 for the survey. And we did that, we paid that. The day we went to pick up our title document was the most, I don't know the exact phrase. I
understand.
Liberating feeling.
The day I had the survey document for my land,
yes,
I wept like a baby in my name. Seeing it in my name. You know, the surveyor brought it and I just started weeping so profusely. People couldn't understand. People couldn't understand why are you crying over a survey document? For me, it was like, you mean I own a land in Lagos?
Huge milestone.
In my own name?
A huge milestone.
And I think that for me, that, yes, it is not awareness and explaining and really letting women see that 35,000 naira.
Oh, yes.
Over a period of time. Because if you keep that 35,000 naira, you will spend it.
Or loan it out.
Or you will loan it out.
And it never comes back.
In fact, more often than not with women, we don't loan it out. We will buy something with it. It's just because, you know, it's a disposable income.
For a lot of women, their earnings is in their wardrobe.
Yes.
It is quite true.
Because you don't want to understand how... I am on Instagram and I follow the way women buy things. Just people who follow me and people I follow, the way they tap on, oh, I want this. Oh, send it to me. Oh, I like this. And I'm sitting down there and calculating, having an estimation of the value of what they're buying. So I'm looking at somebody buying maybe this costume jewelry for about 45,000 naira, and she has liked like 5. I don't know if you understand. That's a lot of money in this climb. in this financial climate that we are, that's a lot of money. So understanding what little amounts of money can do, most of the young women that I mentor, the first thing I say to them is, what is your risk appetite? And how much pressure are you willing to take? Because we are also seeing a crop of, and it's good we're talking about women, we're also seeing a crop of women who have less and less ambition because they have a husband. And I say to them, and when I say it, I say, without sounding morbid, what happens if the man drops dead today? Or like happened in Lekki the other day, he goes to work and never comes home. Where do you start from? Where do you begin from? So don't agree with your husband when he says don't do something or don't be working, because nobody knows tomorrow.
But then that's contradictory to religion.
But you see, that's also the problem.
And the culture too.
But that's also the issue. The religion and culture are two very major things that have set us back as a people. And so you have a culture where a man feels that he's the breadwinner of the family. Nobody's taking that away from you. Nobody. I wrote it in my book that I am a Christian woman and I respect the headship of the man. But you see, the head without the body is a fearful thing.
I believe the head without the neck.
Whether it is the neck or whether the body, because we call the women the neck because we don't. We call the women the neck because we don't want to give them the whole totality that they are the body. Because the woman is the body, whether you like to admit it or not. We ensure that the hands that work, we are the ones. The legs that move, we are the one. We are the heart. We are your stomach. So it's an all-inclusive thing. So if you as a man cannot tutor your wife, cannot tutor the young women or even your children, your daughters around investments, because you're not looking about today, you're looking about tomorrow. Because as you grow older, there are certain things you'll not be able to do anymore. It is your investments that begin to speak for you. It's those investments that begin to, it doesn't matter how little, but if they're constant, then they keep you going. And I think that, looking at it in totality, the creating a constant, and I like to say that awareness that is as simple as ABC, that the market woman can understand. You will not believe that some of these women that sell things along the road own properties that you and I cannot own.
But are you aware of the National Housing Fund scheme that says that banks can now give mortgages to people? But the problem with the banks giving mortgages to people are people that have stream income.
Incomes, yeah.
Because we have estates that a lot of women have come to buy into. Mm-hmm. And most of them must have streamed income. Mm-hmm. So what happens to the woman that does not have streamed income? So we encourage them to go into cooperatives, come as a body, because that's what the government recognizes.
But that's what I'm saying to you, that those women that sell by the roadsides, those women that have small kiosks and sell, very many of them are so investment savvy, much more than us, the educated.
Yeah, I agree with you, because those women, they don't go into buying all of those.
I agree with you.
Thing and all this.
And they are in the cooperatives, as you say.
Yeah, they are in the cooperatives.
So they know how to focus their money.
And most of them are the ones buying the real estate property to rent into the ones.
Exactly. So you find you're all, fine, looking fly, and your landlady is an illiterate woman.
Because I remember...
What do you pay her
my pastor actually told us, he said something like, the only problem that we have in this country is that most people are educated. We go to school, we do all this education. At the end of the day, we come out, it's oriented, the university orients you that you should come out and work and not even own a property, work, don't become an entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. But in this environment, in an environment like Nigeria where we have over 170 million people, and we have about 28 million in Lagos alone, entrepreneurship is the only way you can survive. And when it comes to investment, even if you don't own a property yet, just go into that industry, the real estate industry. Things that you do there can earn you so much money. I have people supplying me sand.
Exactly.
Women are the ones supplying sand.
That was what I wanted to say. That when we talk about real
construction,
when we talk about real estate,
it's we need to break it down.
It's not about owning properties. It's also about investing in certain things that are within the real estate.
It's about the sector.
Supplies, about the total sector. You know, when we're building, the woman that used to supply us sand.
It's only women that supply sand that I know.
And cement.
Cement.
Yeah.
So, and, you know, there was a day I was so upset, and I said to her, do you know how much money you have made from just supplying us sand? And she's like, but auntie, you are building. And she's so consistent, and within that estate, she's the only person that supplies sand to everybody building.
Because
so how will that woman not own her own property? Because as she's supplying, she's also learning. She's also seeing things. She's also making profit, employing it back. You understand what? And then when you see this woman, you will, of course, typically you will say, you know, dirty looking, but like I said to people, she may have much more money than you and I may have.
You remember so many years ago in Obelende, there was a popular place we all used to go and buy food in those days in the university.
Yeah.
Yomodino.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, Yomodino.
One of the days, I went to buy food, and as I was parking in Obelende, I saw a friend of mine. And I said, where are you going to? Say, I'm going for a quick wake. Or let me go and pay a condolence call that my landlady just passed. I said, your landlady? He said, yes, you're Modena. And I said, really? And when I was driving back, and I was saying, we've been coming to buy food from this woman.
And she's been building houses.
In Obelende. Yes. And it's more like...
That is the reality.
She was a landlady.
Yeah. And I was sharing with a friend recently. I can't remember what we're talking about. It happened around Amala. And we're just talking about Amala. And I said, and Amala and real estate and quite a number of things. And I said, you know, there was this woman in Ajawa Estate, across the road in Ajawa Estate, the Mafoluku side, Sunday. She used to sell Amala, hot, spicy Amala. She used to stay under a canopy, a small shed by a mechanic workshop by the road. But this woman, her food was so good that everybody around her came to buy Amala. So those of us from Ajawa Estate will cross and come and buy Amala. 5 years down the line, I move on and all of that. And one day I'm around like, let me go and sit by this roadside and eat this spicy Amala. And then I get there, she's not there. The whole place has changed. I'm like, So as I stood there now, one guy, I just said, you know, I just talking to myself, this woman is no longer here. The Yasunde, maybe she's moved somewhere else and all that. They say, no, she's down there on the road. I said, where? Describe it. Is she by a corner? I said, no, as you go, you'll see one big building, three-story building.
Three-story, yeah.
You will see Yasunde. I said, no, that's not the one. I said, Yasunde that sells Amala. I said, the same woman that she built. I had to go and see.
Her own premises.
I'm not telling you, when you enter as if you're entering Moronfolu from the airport road, the first street by the church, I went there, Yasunde restaurant. I'm like, are you guys kidding me? From doing what?
From food.
From Thistle.
So that's what I'm saying, that you find out that most of those women, so they do the cooperative, as you said, they save that money. They don't dress tatteredly when they have occasions to go to, but their investments are not in the ephemeral. Their investments are things that will outlive them. And I think that that's the awareness that we need to create for women. So beyond just saying having a property, what other investments are you doing? How are you running your business? Many women run as entrepreneurs.
That will be a topic for another day. What other investment are you doing? I think also you have to take it from here. We have to go now.
Yes. Ini, it's been awesome having you with us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
This is all we could take for today, but we'll definitely have you back.
On that one,
on that particular topic, we just need to have you come back again.
Thank you.
Thank you so much
for having me. Thank you.
It has been interesting in the past 30 minutes speaking with Onuk. One thing is certain. Home ownership or real estate ownership by women, whether you inherited from your father, whether it devolved on you by inheritance, by the demise of a spouse, whether it's your child, it has become imperative that if women must grow, if women must be able to access finance, that you must have some viable collateral to give the banks. Every day, increasingly, statistics and data show that women are not just risk-averse, that they're unable to access this finance. Different nations, organizations roll out certain incentives for women to help us move our businesses from small and medium scale and get it to the next level. But How many of us are taking advantage of this? So whatever it is that is militating against us, whether it is cultural, whether it is societal, whether it is religious, whether it is marital, whatever it is that it is, whether it is the lack of knowledge, or you do not even know where to start, you have to start somewhere, one day, somehow. It's been nice having you with us this week. We'll be back next week with yet another interesting edition, and we hope that you will join us next week. Thank you so much, and do enjoy the rest of your weekend. See you next week. Thank you.